not much of a work if you can't see them. Now, can you hear me well in the back? Yeah? Okay, cool. Let's start then. So, basically, I'll just introduce myself a little. My name is Dogsledding, and I have recently graduated from the University of Glasgow here. So it was, it's all very nice, to be here and see some of you again. And it's all very dear to me. I spent 4 years in here studying theoretical physics. So that's a proud picture of me having that circular thing, which we call a diploma. And I will, the talk today, it's just a story, you don't need notebooks or anything like that, you can hide them away. I'll just tell you my story, how I came from kind of being there within a very short period of time, how I went from there to here. So I'm that guy with the headlamp, the red one. We called that place a fire pit, and it was very cold, that's why you have to be in a pit with fire. Yeah. So, and how on earth did I manage, and why would I do that in the first place? I had graduated maybe a few weeks before deciding to go on this expedition, and I was in Dublin in a hotel with my job, just a business trip, so very boring. And on Facebook in Glasgow Mountaineering Club, there was this ad. They were looking for a 5th member for an extreme expedition, and I kind of thought that I just have to do it. It just clicked, and I never gave it a second thought. I immediately applied. I kind of thought nobody would take me on an expedition, because it said it was extreme and you needed to be an experienced adventurer and mountain guy and so on. So, but I still gave it a try, and the very next day we had a Skype interview with the expedition leader, and she said, "Are you not afraid of cold?" And I said, yeah, "Well, I'm from Lithuania. I've been to -30. I used to play around building snowmen and stuff, so it was okay for me." And maybe that was the premise on which they accepted me as a member to the expedition. And within 2 days, I knew I was going. So they said, you need to prepare, and you need to be fit and everything, and I was a theoretical physicist, so I was as fit as one can get, I didn't really knew what I signed up for, but I had a few months to prepare, and basically, I thought I would do a lot of exercise and everything. I never did any exercise, because the procrastination is also part of a physicist's life. So I always postponed it to the very last weeks and never did anything about it. So when I went there, I thought I was gonna die. Oh well. Okay, I landed in Oslo, came to Norway, went all the way to a town called Røros. It's one of the UNESCO towns. It's very, very nice. And every kind of step of the way, there was an entirely new experience, something entirely unexpected, and I could have never thought that it would be as it was. So I'll just start talking, because usually I have about 1.5 hours for this talk, and everyone's like listening and stuff. I have 15 minutes now, so okay. The main thing of the expedition, it was a dogsledding expedition. We did some science, mainly meteorological and geographical science. So the dogs are the most important thing for the expedition. You're kind of very reliant on them, because it was 500-kilometer expedition, and we didn't go on some predefined trails or routes or anything. We had to break trail ourselves, and we were going up in the mountains, just making our own way. If you get lost, you are kind of, well, doomed, you can say. We had a PLB, it's a personal locator beacon. It's a gadget, you press a big button, and a helicopter will come to you within 1 hour in any place on Earth. But basically, if you have some sort of emergency, and if a helicopter comes after an hour, you're pretty much dead. And if you don't have too much of an emergency, you wouldn't press that button. So we were on our own, and the only thing saving us from the impending doom was the dogs. So we had to take care of them, and we had to kind of learn very fast how to do all sorts of technical bits about harnessing up the dogs and stuff like that. In this picture, you can see how the harness looks. So there's a dog, there's harness, there's a tug line, and the red thing, the red strip, it's a piece of wire. It's called the gang line. It looks fairly simple. Now the problem is the dogs, they are very, very active. They're like so energetic, you know, like high energy problems or whatever. They have their own characters, they have attitudes, and they really they really like to fight a lot. I mean, you can see from their faces, they're very different from one another. Now, one funny thing I will mention, see that neckline, it's a steel wire. If you don't let them run, and all they do is run and eat, if they stop for a second, like here, they notice that there's this wire attached to them, and they chew it in one bite. Yeah, so, well, this was about the time they noticed the wire, you know, so you can never stop. Now, the worst thing that you can do in an expedition like this is lose your team. So you're not attached to the sled in any way, you're just kind of holding on to it. The dogs pull very fast, you can go sometimes 40 kilometers an hour, yeah? So it's quite a hard pull on you, and if you lose your team, the dogs will carry on running for 150 kilometers, so about 100 miles into the wilderness, and there is no rescue for you. Your PLB would be probably in the bag as well, honestly. So you're completely alone, and the closest road maybe is 60 kilometers away or something, and it's very cold in the Arctic, if you haven't noticed. Yeah, so basically, losing your team is the worst thing that could happen, but it's very easy to do it. Because you have about 100 kilograms on a sled, and then you weigh another 70 or whatever, and you start feeling these things of inertia and stuff like that very, very well, because if you are on a sharp turn, the sled is 100 kilometers, you are barely 70, you try to kind of steer it, but you can't really, it just goes off the cliff. So I had a couple of instances where I thought I was gonna maybe die, or at least, you know, tumble off the mountain, because the sled is just so heavy, you know, I had no control over it. So all I could do was hold on to it, and I was literally at the edge, well, over the edge of the cliff, and the only thing that saved me was the dogs. So all I did was, I just shouted, go, 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 for God's sake, go. And, yeah, they pulled me out, so that was nice. Right, this is another picture of me and the dogs, and that's my leader, Hakon. And then you need, I'm saying this in all the talks, you know, you don't learn leadership anywhere better than on the dogsledding expedition. Because when you start, you know, you are new to them and they don't care about you, you're not their master, not their owner, not whatever. So they'll just not listen to you. If you, you know, if you step away from their sled, they will just go, they don't care about you. They'll just leave you to die, it's fine. Yeah, so basically you need to be a good leader, like a good carer for them as well, and we really made great friends with them. And I mean, at the end of the expedition, it was just amazing. I mean, it was so hard to leave them. They were like my family, you know. For 6 days, they were literally saving my life. Yeah, so it was great. And you know, the things that I've seen and experienced, it was just out of this world. You know, sometimes you feel like you're on Mars. You know, and I never thought that, you know, nature could be so beautiful. Basically, I've seen purple sky, I've seen blue sky, I've seen, I don't know, green sky, whatever. Never knew that would happen. And yeah, we've been up in the mountains. I've seen sunrises and sunsets, and we would go for 8 hours a day, sometimes 80 kilometers a day. And it's, well, some people ask, is it tough? You know, is it physical? Yes, it is. So I better had prepared, but I didn't. Basically, because the sled is so heavy, about 100 kilograms, or, well, later in the expedition, about 80 when you start eating your food, you have to kind of push it up the hill, because dogs just can't pull it on their own, you know. When you're downhill, you have to brake, because you'll run over your dogs, because the inertia and everything, yeah? So, yeah, it's always like a marathon. For 8 hours, you're either pushing the sled up the hill, and you always have to run, because the dogs will run away. They won't wait for you if you're pushing like that. So yeah, it's always a struggle. Yeah, and but it was good. I managed to push and pull the sled, and it was all fine. Now there are a few things you really need to pay attention to. Basically, there is a brake. If you're on an icy slope, you imagine 150 kilograms on a sled on an icy slope, you just go and you can't really brake. There is a foot brake, like 2 hooks at the bottom of the sled. You have to kind of not only step on them, but you have to keep jumping on them to break the sled a bit. That won't work most of the time because of the ice, you just can't get the hooks in. So there's a snow anchor. Well, that's what it is. It's kind of an anchor. You just pull it out of your bag and then you just try to maneuver it into the snow while you're going at 40 kilometers an hour. Now, the anchor is a huge hook, which you have. It's tied to your sled, and then if you kind of lose grip of it, it will go underneath your sled and start kind of bouncing somewhere around your feet. So you can easily get it through your foot or something. I nearly got it through my arm because I lost it, and yeah, it was just coming at me. But I didn't do anything to myself. But there are some dangers involved in this, I guess, as you can see. Okay, so now this was the camp, and the first day when we were setting up the camp, it took us 5 hours because there's plenty of tasks we need to do. I should also talk about the rest of the team. There was 5 of us. So there was a mountain leader and professional guides to Nepal and Everest base camp and stuff like that. There was a British guy, Tom Rainey, who rowed across the Atlantic 92 days or something in a rowboat by himself. We had an expedition leader. She did about 50,000 kilometers by sled, and then there was me. So I kind of felt a bit of an underdog at times, but I managed to actually help people out as well. A nice panorama of our camp here. It's about 800 meters in the mountains as well, above the tree line. So you don't. It's like a wasteland, You don't get anything there. And when it gets dark, as soon as the sun kind of sets, you get a thing called fnug descending from the mountains. Now, it's only roughly translatable to fog or mist or something like that, but it's not actually fog. Fnug is made of icy crystals, so fog is kind of tiny water droplets. Fnug is icy crystals. As soon as it hits you, you feel like little firecrackers going on your face, and you have to just run and hide away in your tent. Now, the tent, we call it the labu. People think, oh, it's so nice, it's like a little house, it's warm. No, it's not a house, it looks like a volcano. See that top part, it's only to stop the rain or snow from getting in, but it's actually all open. If it was closed, because the temperatures are so low, it can be minus 25, minus 30 at night, all the condensation that you breathe out just freezes on the surface, so you end up in a kind of icy shell of ice, and you need to carry it with you as well, so it's very heavy. So sleeping was cold as well. We had Arctic sleeping bags, but if it's minus 25 outside, it will be minus 20 inside, so it's not like home. Right, this is one of the videos, so it's a bit laggy, but yeah, that's one of the videos. We saw about 500 reindeer on the top of the mountain out of nowhere, and the dogs were trying to chase after them. Unfortunately, we only captured kind of the end of them because they were running away from us over the hill. But when I first saw it, I thought that the entire mountain was moving, So it's quite crazy, And a quick video of this as well. This was the hardest night. We were traveling and we were a bit late to set up the camp. Well, very late. It was very windy, very cold, and your mind starts playing tricks on you. You kind of because you're always hungry and you can't really stop to eat. You run out of energy very fast. You burn around about 10,000 calories per day, so it's much more than you eat because you don't have much appetite as well. You kind of turn sleepy, because your body gets hungry, you cannot eat, you turn sleepy, so you're always sleepy, and then all sorts of weird things start to happen, So some people say they have hallucinations and stuff. I didn't too much, but yeah, it was fun. So this is kind of a characteristic view that we would get. It was all kind of mountain range after mountain range. So we would go up the mountain and down the mountain, and it would be 1 kilometer up, 1 kilometer down, and that's the entire day. We would do some 7 or 8 hills every day. So going down the mountain for about 3 kilometers, it was just great because you see everything, and you see that panorama, and you see your teams ahead and your dogs and stuff like that. So it